welcome to my channel. My name is Lainey and this is Penny Pot Cottage. If you're new here, then welcome, come on in, and if you are returning, thank you so much, and come on in and see some more of the chaos. It's been a hot minute since I was last on. We've had our holiday in Benidorm. There's some footage of that at the end of this video, so if you do want to see that, then please feel free to wait. There may be a section of myself which hardly anybody's ever seen before, which spoiler alert, drunk Lainey. I may have had sex on the beach. That's a drink. Yeah, so I thought I would stick that in for your amusement, because it seems to have amused the rest of my family. So if you want to see a little bit of our holiday, there's not a huge amount, to be fair. We were very much there to relax and get away and really enjoy ourselves and be in the moment, but I did try and record some things. And yeah, drunk Lainey was definitely filmed by my husband, who found it absolutely hysterical. So fill your boots, enjoy, and you're welcome. What I have got is, it's the general chit chat today. I'll try not to waffle on too much, but I probably won't be able to keep to that. I have got, look, let me show you, I've got some makes to show you. In fact, I think I'm going to have to, I'll turn the camera because there's no way I can lift this bag up. Look, can you see? Sneak peeks, sneak peeks. There's loads in there. Well, I say loads. I mean, you know, this has been since, I think, so I've got hair in my mouth. It's been since Christmas. And I know some people would be knocking that up in a week. If you've watched I cannot speak, I'm so sorry. If you have watched Lucy's latest video with all of her body parts that she's got stuffed into a bag, and she was messaging me last night, we were speaking over Instagram last night, and she's been desperately waiting for her stuffing, some of which has now turned up, so yay! Fingers crossed for the rest of it that's due to turn up as well. But yeah, she messaged me and said, look, I need help. She's literally got bags and bags and bags of body parts, which she now has to stuff. And her and I have conversations about batch making all the time, because she's brilliant at batch making. I mean, well, as her video shows, if you go and watch it, she just batch makes and finish and gets everything to the point where it either needs eyes, or it needs stuffing, or it needs finishing. Then it goes into a bag. And I say to her, that literally gives me heart palpitations. I can't cope with that. I have to make something start to finish. And I know that makes no sense. Sorry, my teeth are not working today. Brain, teeth, not working. Yeah, to me, I know it makes sense. I just cannot do it. I have to just start, have to start and then finish. I mean, all the way through, which, you know, yes, does make me slower and everything, but, you know, I think we do what we do, don't we? we do. If you can see or hear slurping, I've got this one behind me today. Yeah, hello. Hi, you good boy. Yeah. Got him behind me today. I've got little Mousy. Where is she? She's down there. Can you see? Mouse? Hello, Bubba. So I've got both of them up here today, which pretty much guarantees that at least once or more during this video, I am going to have to say, excuse me a second, whilst I pop up and let them out, and then let them in, and then let them out. It's like the flipping hokey cokey. And if you've got dogs, you'll completely understand. In fact, if you've got animals, you'll completely understand. So anyway, so we've got Elmo here, Mosey's down over there, and a huge, not that you can see, but a huge bag of plushies down here. So I'll get straight into it. We'll have a look at the plushies first. I'll try, if I can, to sort out, to do it so I can hold all the things up together. So just bear with me. So first up, we have, let me show you, we have some rats. Okay, this is the pattern by, oh, and there's a hair. I should just say this. I haven't lint rolled them. I haven't particularly cleaned them off. So if you see any fluffies, any fuzzies, any bits of hair, they will all be lint rolled to within an inch of their life. They will all be tagged with the UKCA markings. I just haven't got that far yet. I have got some shows booked, but my first one isn't until I think it's the 3rd, 4th and 5th of April. So I'm in denial that I need to do all of the rolling and the tagging, because that's my batch making. And I just hate it. I should just do the whole thing, literally start to finish, lint rolling and tagging. And the only reason I don't do that is because I'm then going to be storing them, so they'd have to be, you know, just freshened up anyway. So I do leave that bit till the end. Anyway, going back to it, so these are some rats. Now I know Bubble Cat Crochet makes these all the time and she loves them, and I have a real love-hate relationship with them, to be honest, because yes, I love them. Yes, they sell really, really well. You know, I don't make a huge amount of them, and I sell out of them. The hooded rats are the most popular, particularly this darker colour. But as you can see, I have different eyes. Now, hello, Mr. Elmo. One of the reasons that I hate them is because the heads are really small. There's a hair on that one. The heads are really small. Sorry, somebody wants a fuss. And trying to get my eye tool in is really, really difficult. Sorry, he biffs. Right, could you please not biff me? Thank you. Yeah, so sometimes I just cannot do it. And I would actually like to use smaller eyes. I'd like to use 14s. These are 16s. But the eye tool that I use, I'll link it below. I hope I remember. I'm going to do this every time I say I'm going to link it below. And then hopefully that will remind me, future editing Lainey, wherever she might turn up. But if I do actually decide to edit, I'm going to try and remember to do that when I want something linked below, i.e. patterns and tools, etc. So I use this tool. It's basically like a clamp. I can't even describe it, but it has 2 discs. You put the eye and the post in the middle with obviously the head, and then you pump. It's like a pump. If you can imagine like an old-fashioned outside water pump, you know, where you had that action. Yeah, well, it's like that, and it's brilliant 99% of the time, but it doesn't do very well with small spaces. And in order to do anything smaller than 16 eyes, you've got to change the attachment, and that's just a lot of faff. So I use the 16s, which I don't think are too bad. They actually look okay. This is snug as a bug, so they come out a lot bigger than if you were just to use a single strand of chenille anyway. But yeah, so I have a love-hate relationship. The pattern's by Cubie Crochet, and it's a fantastic pattern, and it's probably the best pattern that I've found, and it just works up so nicely. But oh, yeah. I was also having such a nightmare with the tails because they're so tight and fiddly. But what I've actually discovered, it's not a great discovery, but what I have actually discovered is instead of yarn under, which I do all the time, if I do yarn under, yarn over for the tail, it doesn't make the stitch too tight because it's 4 single crochets. Whoever invented 4 single crochets in a round, well, you are not my friend, So, but I've tried 5, and 5 looks chunky. 5 is easier to work with, but it is too chunky. So I do switch down to 4. But yes, so I did discover that actually if I do yarn under, yarn over on the tail, it's fine. It doesn't leave any gaps, but it does make it a heck of a lot easier. So I should probably do that when I can muster up the enthusiasm to make any more. So he's got real eyes. And then with these 2, because I just couldn't be bothered to faff about with the eyes anymore, I did embroidered eyes. I'm not a huge fan of my embroidered eyes. Other people's are gorgeous. Lucy's from Lulu Crochet and More, hers are absolutely stunning. I might just employ her to come and embroider eyes on for me. But, you know, they're not too bad. I think they pass. I think they pass. And yeah, and this one, oh, maybe that looks a bit dodgy on camera, but I promise it's not quite as dodgy in real life. So yeah, those are my rats. As I say, I like the look of them. I just don't really like making them. Right, here we go. So a couple of other things. Right, let me see if I can find there's 3 of these next things coming, and I've got to see if I can find them. Okay, so the next up are Highland cows, and they are all slightly different but relatively similar. So first of all, we have this one, loaf pattern. Everything's based, or most things are based on a loaf pattern whenever I do things. I absolutely love the chunky designs, and Chloe from, and I'm really sorry, I'm going to butcher this name, she's an Irish lady, Biogi Croy, yeah, she put out a video recently to say, I think it was some tips on running your business, and one of the things she said is find your style, and that really resonated with me, because without particularly thinking about it, I have found my style, and it's chunky. I love and appreciate and love watching and seeing the delicate makes that other people do. You know, things with all the sewn on parts and the intricate patterns, you know, the dragons, the mythical creatures, the sprites. I love all of that. You know, the like where you have 4 separate legs which you then sew on. I love seeing them, and I've made a few of those sorts of things, but it's not me. I do have a short attention span, and because like I said in the beginning of the video, I do like to make from start to finish, so it also needs to be relatively quick. It doesn't necessarily have to be easy. I don't mind making parts and sewing them on, but it needs to be something that I can kind of click along with. So yeah, so a lot of my makes are based on the like the original loaf cat patterns. So one Highland cow there. Now was it this one or was it that one? I can't remember. One of them I used the market cow pattern from April at the Cozy Buckeye, but I did the horns slightly differently in as much as I made them separately and then sewed them on, whereas hers is completely no sew. So I will link that one below because that's the easiest one to start with. And I think it's this one that has her nose. Okay, so there's that one. And then I made a different one and I just did my own nose. So again, it's still based on the Cash the Market Cow design or the Loaf Cat design, whichever. And on this one I did some face shaping and I don't actually like it, so I won't be doing that again. I don't think it lends itself, but that different colour. And then on this one I went back to using my own. Oh, also, yeah, I beg your pardon. So also my ears I sewed on because I just could not get April's pattern. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a me problem, not a her problem. But I know how to make the ears, so I just made them. I tend to do that sometimes. I might use somebody's pattern, but if I can't work out if my brain can't put their pattern into practice, then I'll do what works for me, which I guess is what we all do really. But I just wouldn't take credit for the pattern because it was very much based on hers. Sorry, fluff. Yeah. And then this one I did with a little bit of fur yarn as well. So there you go. So those were the 3 Highland cows. And then Last year I met a really lovely girl. I was vending next to her down at, I'm just looking in my bag while I'm talking to you. I was vending with her down at the Charlestown Christmas market, and her name's Amber, and she was an absolute hoot, and we had such a good laugh the whole weekend that we were there. And we've both applied to go this year, and I'm really hoping they put us together again, because she was amazing. She's a potter and her stuff is stunning, and she does a lot with bird patterns and things on her plates. And again, Lainey editing, link Amber below. And Amber said to me, you should make some chickens. And I went, okay. So I've made some chickens, and these first three are the Marlow Mabel chicken patterns, except that I have changed the wings and the beaks slightly, but the basis of it is very much the same. So let me show you. We have a lavender one. Okay, we have a pink one. Okay, and we have a aqua blue one. Okay, now I don't know if you can tell, I hope the camera picks it up, but I have used the Jelly Baby glitter yarn. Okay, did that make a good thumbnail? Maybe not. Anyway, so I've used the Jelly Baby glitter, and whenever I use chenille, I have to double strand it. So I think it gives a really nice mottled effect, actually. And the other thing I've done is I've weighted these so they could actually be used as door proppers rather than stoppers, because they're not so heavy that I think an outside door that could blow in the wind, but they definitely prop a door open. So put your wing down. Yeah, anyway, I really love those guys. So yeah, those are for you, Amber. I've made them especially for you, and we'll see how they go down. And if they appear on my stall again, then you know that they've gone down well, and I've made some more. And if those colours are still hanging around at Christmas, you know that they haven't gone down well, and I'll never be making the bloody things again. Moving on from that, or keeping the same theme, I then had a different pattern in my pattern box, and I can't remember whose it was. And to be honest, I started it and then got bored with it. Again, me problem, not the pattern designer's problem. So I then decided to modify it, and I used about the first 3 rounds of the pattern, and then combined the technique that I was using for the Marlow, and I came up with this guy. And I actually quite like him. He's really big, fat and round, isn't he? He's a real chonker. Yeah. So, and again, he's weighted too. So I quite liked him, but I think he was like several rounds of, I want to say 60 or more stitches. So I was a bit bored by the time I got to the end, but yeah, I did quite like him. So I have got some birds now, or some chickens rather. So then what did I come up with after that? Well, I don't come up with anything. What did I? Oh, I found another one. Sorry, this one, that one. They've all got really squashed in the bag, which is another reason why I don't bother to kind of pretty them up too much, because they are going to have to all be, why does everything look wonky on the camera? Yeah, but that's a nice one. That's King Cole tweed and Yarnsmith's chenille, I think, combined. That gives a really nice colorway. Couple of my old favorites, because I absolutely love them, and I need to make more. I mean, you know, so many more of those will have to come out. What have I got? Oh, I made a couple of little dachshunds. That's not really a pattern that's based on much other than just patterns that I've used in the past, and I just pop them together. You know, maybe I'll do an extra long nose, or maybe I'll do a slightly different ear. I don't know. There you go. This is more my own. I used the basis of a pattern by Pammy Dolls, which I have linked in one of my previous videos, so you can find that. And then I just do increases and give them like that crouching cat look. So there's those. Oh, I found another rat. Okay, yeah. So, and again, he's got the eyes, the embroidered eyes. So that's quite good. So I've got 4 rats. Oh, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. That's one that I've had in my kit for a long time, so that's not a new one. So there's that one. Right, where are we up to? Sure, I thought I had another cat, but I did send a whole load of stuff off to the shop in Bovey Tracy. So yeah, quite a few things that I had made, smaller makes, they've all gone off to the shop in Bovey Tracy. So then I was watching, oh gosh, what's her name? I'll say Sammy, but her name's not Sammy, but her channel's Sammy something or other. So editing Lainey, link below. Anyway, she does these penguins and they're really good and they're chunky, so of course I'm going to be drawn to them. So I found the pattern. The pattern is, I think the pattern is by Phoebe, so I'll link that too. Link the pattern. Anyway, and I love this. So we have a big penguin, Jelly Baby Glitter, and then chenille, and then we have the same again but in purple, and Jelly Baby Glitter, Snug as a Bug. Then I'll switch to did I only do 2? I thought I did more penguins. Maybe sure I did a different, sure I did another colour penguin. No, I didn't. I've got some black, so I'm going to make a black one. You know, black and grey, sort of more traditional. But I wasn't sure if I had enough grey, so I need to have a look through my stash. I've kind of gone back to using Snug again at the minute. I love the chenille, but I had a bit of a hankering to use Snug. So yeah, so I used I did the penguins using the pattern, and then I just modified it and apparently squashed its head, and I made a little mallard ducky because I think he's cute. And to be fair, mallards usually sell for me quite well. So I did him, and then I did a goose. Oh, he's got a bit of fluff on his nose. So I did a goose in a hat. And then after him, I did a seagull. And again, these will all be nicely presented on my stand. Okay, so I did a seagull, and then I did a dog. I'm not really very keen on him, to be fair, and I think he's very childish and cartoonish, so I think he's going to take a long time to sell, because I don't think many parents are going to want to necessarily pay, but also he's not really one that people are going to come up and go, oh, that looks like my dog. Whereas the traditional loaf dog designs, providing I have the exact right colour and the exact right patterning, people will buy them. So I did the cat, I did a dog, and then I just thought I'd experiment and do a cat. So these aren't actually from the original penguin pattern. These are just ones that I kind of did on the basis of it. And again, I think they're just a bit of fun. I don't suppose they're going to sell quickly. I think I'm going to have them in my kit for a long time. But to be honest, if it just bulks out the stall a little bit, you know, I'm not unhappy. This next one I really like, and when I showed it to my daughter, she's like, "Oh, Mum, I love it!" And I just think he just makes me smile. So I really hope this one goes soon. Look. So again, the similar sort of pattern from the original penguin pattern, and then I added the arms, and I can't actually remember now how I did the hands, but I think it was just, I just did probably some chains, yeah, probably. And the really good thing about all of this is it all stands up to testing, and that's one of the reasons that I love Snug as well, because the, you know, the weight testing particularly, I know how Snug behaves, and I'm always fairly confident that things like this are good. I've tested all of these joins. I've tested like chains. So yeah, and I really liked him, and I did actually like all the patterning and everything I made up myself. So I am really pleased with him, and I'll be disappointed if he doesn't sell quite quickly, because I just think he's such a lot of fun. Yeah, so I'm really happy with him. And then I also made this one that's a little bit, it's got a lot of fluff on him, because when I originally made him, I finished him last night and I didn't like the beak, so I cut off the beak and redid his beak, which I'm now a lot more happy with, but he does have a lot of the fluff left over from where I did the cutting. So let me just make sure, let me make him presentable so I can say, please everybody put your hands together for Silly Goose. And again, based off the similar sort of pattern, although I suppose in a way I need to stop saying that, because I'm always saying, oh, that's not my pattern, because I based it on somebody else's. But particularly with this one, I mean, who doesn't start with a magic ring of 6 or 8 or 5 or 7 or 4 or whatever and build up from there? That is how patterns are made. So I probably, in fact, I could claim this one as being my own, because I worked out where I wanted the increases, the decreases. I did slightly different wings. I put the scarf, you know, slightly different feet. So yeah, actually I haven't done him a tail. Must do him a tail. But yeah, I kind of quite think I fancy doing a pink one, because don't have to have pink for boys and blue for girls, but I still think that majority of people like to buy pink or blue for babies. So I think I might do a pink one. So I was really happy with him. I thought he was just really fun how he turned out. Just got to throw these back in my bag for a minute, because I'm getting a little bit bogged down with all of these. And then just a few more to show you. Oh yes, I knew I'd made another bird. One of my old favourites, and again, usually this type of bird sells for me all the time. It's not a penguin. It is not a penguin. He's a pigeon. He's a pigeon. Yeah. So, you know, it's a bit of a joke, isn't it, that got all my ducks in a row, but I'm pretty sure that one of them's a pigeon. Well, definitely. So yeah, so that was it for the big birds. And then I made a little rubber duck. That was a free Instagram pattern, so I'll link that below. I always change the beaks. I like to do a beak like that, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 6 in a magic circle and then just pulled tight, and I really like that. And again, I know that doesn't come off because I've tested that particular piece. I've tested that so many times, so I know that doesn't come off. So yeah, little rubber duck, and I like them, but for the time it took me to do, I will make some more. I will make some more, but I don't think I could sell those for very much. I'm not selling anything for less than £10. Maybe that'll sell for 10, maybe it'll sell for 12. I might put them up as 12 and see. I can also juice them down, can't I? So I only made one of those, and then these next ones, and yes, that's a free Instagram pattern, which I'll have to find whose it was. Was this also a free Instagram? I think this next one was a free Instagram pattern as well. I'm sure of it. This one. And again, I did do my own nose, and they didn't have hats, so this one didn't. They don't come with hats, and I decided to put the hats on. So yellow and a blue, and a pink with a purple hat. So there you go. I'm sorry if you can hear snoring. It's the big old basset behind me. Yeah, so that's all of my makes. I'm really happy, actually. I'm pretty happy with what I've made so far. I've got a lot more to make. I know I have. I've also done I made a commission of a spaniel, and that's gone off to its new home, and I am working on another commission of another dog, which has got to go off in the next day or so. But yeah, I am quite happy, so I'm just gathering them all up so I can put them away. I'm very excited about trading again this year. I love doing shows. And you coming around, Maisie? Sorry, Maisie's sitting over here. You coming around? Come on in. Come on. Come on. Come and say hi. Come on, you can sit on my lap. Here's your good girl. Here's your good girl. Here's your good girl. Look in the camera. Look in the camera. Here's a good girl. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited about doing the shows. And I said this last year, but I'm really trying to stick to it this year. 1 a month. And the only concession, is that the right word to that, is I will be doing some shows for Steve at the Butcher's Hall in Tavistock, and I will take whatever stock I've got. I will take a few along because, as I said, as I have said in previous videos, it costs me nothing, and if all I've got is 2 or 3, well, that's a few, that's some pennies in my pot. But also I can advertise the fact that I do commissions, and I tend to do quite well there. So I'm hoping I'm going to be there all day anyway, and it's generally quite quiet. So there's a lot of downtime, so I will be able to make some stuff. I will be able to just have my shelving next to his table at the end, and if I get nothing, I get nothing. I'm there anyway, but there's always the chance, and if I don't take it, I have got no chance, have I? But apart from that, I'm really trying. I've got one in April booked in. I don't know if I've got May. I've got June, I've got July, I've got August. I've got one in mind for September, but haven't booked it yet. I've got October's in mind, but haven't booked it yet. I've got November's, and December I haven't yet. And what I found last year was that the first week of December was brilliant. So I might go up to the second week of December with a view of doing booking commissions. So maybe not selling so much on the second week of December because people generally have already bought gifts, but they will take the leaflets. I had a lot of that last year, and then they started to come in sort of, or have been coming in from last year. So that might be worth doing as well. But yeah, desperately trying to stick to one a month. So please remind me if I come back and say, oh, I've just booked another one. Now some of these once a month ones are 2 days. So and the one for April is the a rally one. So that's three days. Yeah, 3 days. Yeah, 4th, 5th and 5th. So yeah, that's multiple days anyway, so you know, but just one event. I really love doing multiple days because you go there, you set up, and then for 1 or 2 nights you get to pack down and just walk out and then go back in the morning. It's lovely. So there, yeah, that's all quite exciting. And I think that's about all I've got to say really. I don't think there's anything else that I forgot to mention. In October we've got our crochet retreat, and when we first started speaking about that, Debs and I, that was back in I think April last year, and now finally it's this year, and the venue's booked, and the people have paid the deposit, so we're all looking to go ahead on that. And I'll be meeting her in a couple of weeks. She's on holiday at the moment. So we'll be getting together to discuss a little bit more about that. So that's it'll be October before we know it. Going up to my daughter's at the weekend to spend the weekend with her. It's Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to everyone who is a mother or a mother figure, or has a mother figure in their life, or is a dog mum, or anything really, or just everybody. Hate saying that because you don't ever want to leave anybody out, but yeah, so if you celebrate it, have fun, and if you don't celebrate it, we'll have a fun day anyway. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me for now, so I'm going to stop waffling. I'm going to leave you with our little clips from Benidorm. I hope you enjoy it. Benidorm was everything. Honestly, it's somewhere that my husband's wanted to go for ages, and it was completely different to what we were thinking it was going to be. We are big fans of the TV show Benidorm, and obviously we knew that was a film set. It wasn't going to be quite like that, but we also expected it to be a little bit similar, because the whole point of these programs is it's based on what on real life, and then they kind of just up it. And so we were really pleasantly surprised. Our hotel was absolutely gorgeous. We stayed at the Mercure, and I can't tell you the name of the road, but it was brilliant. We were a couple of streets back from the beach, but we walked every single day. We caught a taxi once when we went to the zoo, and we caught the tram because we went to the next village, not the next village, we went along the line to a village called Altea. Sorry if I've butchered that. And that was beautiful as well. And we went and saw a really lovely church, blue domed church, very, very ornate, absolutely stunning to go around and have a look at. And so we did that, but otherwise we walked everywhere. So we probably walked about 4 miles a day. We would always wander down through the old town. The old town was beautiful. I loved it. So much shopping. We took one suitcase because with Ryanair, Ryanair literally charge you for the air that you breathe. So everything you have with Ryanair, you pay for. So we had one carry-on each, which could be about this big. And then we paid for a 20-kilo suitcase. And on the way out, Steve said to me, no, I've got to be careful because I think our suitcase is near the limit. And so I packed all of my stuff. He packed his stuff in one suitcase. And when we got to the airport, Bristol airport we flew from, and it was 16 kilos. So I was really pleased till I got there and realised that I had actually left behind half of my clothes, my tops. But that meant then I had a really good excuse to go shopping, and I did. So I got some really lovely things. Now, unfortunately, they were all quite summery tops, and we had three really lovely days where it was warm enough to go and have a paddle in the sea and to wear t-shirts, short sleeve tops during the day. Come the evening, we definitely needed to have, I think the first night I went out with a cardigan, but got a little bit chilly, so I bought a like a pashmina, and that was fine for probably probably 2 or 3 nights. And then as the week went on, we stayed there for 10 days, and as the week went on, it did get a bit chillier and a bit chillier. So I ended up buying really nice, it is a shawl, but it's a bit thicker and a bit heavier than the pashmina. And that was really lovely, and that kept me warm most nights, because we'd go out and have dinner. We got breakfast in the hotel included, and that was lovely. That was a buffet, and that was just so nice and relaxing, and we could just eat what we wanted. And then we would go out all day. We'd go out all day sightseeing, and then we'd go back to the hotel mid-afternoon and have a freshen up and maybe have a little sleep, and then get dressed and go out for dinner. I had 2 changes of clothing every single day, and I loved it. Even though I'd forgotten half of my tops, and I think I bought about 4 little tops, which I probably would have bought anyway. So I did have to mix and match a bit, but yeah, so I had lots of changes of clothing. So we'd get dressed for dinner, and then we'd walk back down to the seafront and walk along and just go and have dinner wherever we fancied, depending on what we fancied that night. And we did everything from trying to eat like Mediterranean. You often get people out on the street saying, come and have a steak in our restaurant. So we did have a steak one night, and it was a very nice steak. But so basically with the steak, you got your steak and then you got chips, and there wasn't really anything else to have. Well, there wasn't anything else, it was steak and chips. So you could have salads and things like that, but I think the evening before I'd had a goat salad, which was really, really lovely, but I did fancy a steak. And it was, if you wanted steak, it was steak and chips. And the chips, honestly, I think they'd probably been cooked at breakfast time and then just left out. They weren't nice, so it was fine, because I didn't need to eat very many of them. So that was, the steak was nice, the chips was not. And then one night we had tapas, which Steve's absolutely in his element. He loves fish. I hate fish. The only fish I like is grilled salmon, not smoked, or cod, as long as it's wrapped in batter with a side portion of, fish and chips. Lovely. But he had all sorts of, I think he had octopus, I think he had squid. Yeah, he really enjoyed that. And then another day we didn't have, what did we do? Oh no, another day we had these little dishes, and I'm going to call them pincho. Basically, they're little pieces of French stick, for want of a better word. I don't know if it's French stick. I'm just, if I say French stick, I'm sure you'll all know what I mean. Baguette. Little slices about that thick and about that round, and then they're piled high with toppings, and they have them on display behind these clear counters, so you can see them all, and then they have their little name tags along. I had ham, cheese, courgette and asparagus. So basically a little piece of bread like that, about that thick, like that, and it had a thin slice of ham, a thin slice of cheese, one piece of courgette like that, which I think was battered, if I remember rightly, and then a little piece of asparagus. So basically they're also like a tapas, but they're called pinchos or pinchos. It's Pinchos. and yeah, and people just flock to the bar, and they order, I don't know, however many of them, 2, 3, 4, I don't know. Maybe if there's a party, they order a couple each and then just have half each. But they are quite hard to cut. We bought ours to take away, and then we went and sat on the wall looking over the sea. And we got quite messy. But they were really, yeah, they were really, really nice. And then another night we went out and we just couldn't decide what we fancied to eat. And everywhere we looked, it was like, yeah, don't really know. Well, we came across an Indian, and I tell you what, it was beautiful. And I'm not a lover of Indian. If I have Indian twice a year, that's probably enough for me. But this was delicious. I don't do heat. So I had, in fact, actually, we both had the same. Lamb. I don't think it was a korma, but it was something similar, and it was light. It was creamy, but it was light. It was mild. I had, I think actually we both had pilau rice, and then we shared a cheese and garlic naan, and that was really lovely. And then another night, we fancied, well, I fancied a Chinese buffet, and that's partly because in Benidorm there's this restaurant called Mr. Wu's, which actually doesn't exist anymore in real life. I don't know if it was ever a real restaurant. It was a real restaurant, and I don't know if it's called Mr. Wu's or if they just did that for the programme, because obviously a lot of it is just a film set. But there was a Mr. Wu's in Benidorm, and that unfortunately closed. But we found one, and oh my goodness, I think I might have put some footage in. There was everything. Did I say it was buffet? It was buffet. So it was €20 a head, and we were stuffed when we came out. And it's a good job that we were the furthest point that we'd ever been away from our hotel, because we needed just to roll home, honestly. There was so much. Steve again absolutely filled his boots with the fish, because as well as the cook section, you also had a raw section where you could fill your plate, take it to the griddle, the chef would make it for you, cook it for you, and then give it back to you. So he had, in one sitting, he had calamari, clams, crayfish, frog's legs, octopus. I think that was it. And I had chicken breast. I had chicken breast and a few noodles and a few bean sprouts and a plate of vegetables. But honestly, that was delicious. And that, you know, that's why I love a buffet, because he can have all the yucky stuff that he likes, and I can have the stuff that I like. And yeah, we had crispy seaweed, and we had some chicken chow mein, and we had sweet and sour balls and all of that. And then the desserts, I mean, honestly, I could have fallen into this dessert tray. And in fact, I was so annoyed in the end that I could actually only manage, I think they had some little mousses, and you only get like a smaller, they come in a shot glass, and then there's only like that much in it. And there were 3 different flavours, I think it was. And I thought, right, I'll start with the 3 different flavours. You know, start my desserts, not start my dinner. I was already stuffed from the dinner, but I was determined I was having these desserts. So I had 3 of these desserts, and then I had my eye on the other bits. Honestly, I just couldn't. I was bursting. So we left there very full, very happy, very satisfied. Yeah, as I say, we rolled home. So that was the Chinese buffet. And then on the very last night, we found an absolutely stunning hotel down on the beachfront. And they had a restaurant that was open to the public, and we went in there and we had another buffet. And this was more of a Mediterranean style buffet, and it was phenomenal. A bit more expensive. It's €25 a head, but again, you could eat whatever you wanted. So I think I had a creamy cauliflower soup with a little bread roll. Steve had some other fish stuff like smoked salmon or something like that. Yeah, and then I think just again, they had a griddle, so you could go up to the griddle. The chef would cook bits and pieces for you, and then you just load your plate. And again, they had the most delicious desserts. So actually, having learnt from the Chinese buffet, I went a lot lighter on the main of in this particular place. I didn't have nearly as much on my plate. I learned because the desserts were gorgeous, and I just wanted to I wanted to have my just desserts, and I did. And again, we were very, very, very full when we came out. And they had these little ice cream bars and things all along and around. And that was fun, just to stop and have a gelato when we fancied it. So we did that a few times. But all in all, an absolutely beautiful place, and I can thoroughly recommend it. And it's everything that you expect Benidorm to be and more. So if you want the strip, as it's called, if you want the British all-you-can-eat buffets with, you know, of burgers and chips and pints and everything being sold in bulk and set up for the Brits, you can absolutely do that. And we walked along there a few times at night, because it's an experience. You have to experience that. That is what, as the to the British, that's what Benidorm is. It's lager louts. It's the Brits going over there for a weekend on the lash, getting absolutely off their faces. And we saw that, and we saw people in the road being held down by the security while they waiting for the police to come and take them along. There was no point that we felt in danger. But we did kind of walk together and didn't loiter too long. We found the bar called, well, it's actually called Morgan's Tavern, but it was Neptune's in the TV show. And we went in there, and they have a lot of impersonating singers. So the night that we went there, they had a guy who was singing George Michael, and he was really, really good. And then they have this show, which, again, if you're fans of Benidorm, you'll know, Sticky Vicky. And there is a section that I have included. It's dark, so you can't really see too much. But I'm just warning you now that the magic show at the end has... she's not actually called Sticky Vicky. She was just called the Sticky Magic Show. And let's just say that she pulled things out that wasn't quite a rabbit out of a hat, but it was something out of something. But if you just take it for what it is, it was a very funny and good and well thought up routine. And if you're going to go there, you know, that's what you need to experience if you like us and you want to take everything in. We also did a couple of drag shows, and they are phenomenal, and the people that put them together are amazing. Highly recommend the West End Show Bar if you ever go. It was £5 a ticket, which is nothing, and you go into what is almost like their front room, and there's 3 drag queens who do their acts, and they were amazing, and they were so welcoming, and they have a big sign on their wall that says, "Arrive as a stranger, leave as a friend," and that's really how you felt. And within that £5, we had a 4.5 hour show. We had a light buffet. We could buy drinks. And in fact, that's where I had the Sex on the Beach, and then had to walk home from there. And that was one of the furthest points away from the hotel. So we came out of there, and I'm not a fan of Burger King or anything like that, but I was hungry. I had the munchies, and I said to Steve, I need to get something to eat. And most places had were closing up for the night, and Burger King was still open, and they do these things called mini burgers or baby burgers or something, and you get a box of 3, and they're about that big each. They're about that round and about that deep. So we had one each, and then shared the other one. And I can honestly say they're as disgusting as what I ever remember them to be, but you know, I'd had a drink, I didn't care. And then we went to another one another show at the Benidorm Palladium, and that was really good. It wasn't as friendly an atmosphere. It was a bigger venue. They had a few people that were gobbing off a little bit, and the artists, quite rightly, basically told them they had to leave. So then, you know, you've got some people who are British, and they've had a few drinks and they start gobbing off, and then they get told to leave, and then they get a bit more gobby and a bit more shouty. Nothing was what you didn't feel unsafe. I mean, the guys running these places, they've got bouncers everywhere anyway. But honestly, this one particular drag queen, she was called Levi G, and she's been doing it for years. And she said, when she was speaking to them, she said, you know, I've been doing this for 30 years. I can take you on. And yeah, she could have done in her heels and dangly earrings and everything else, in her very much Shirley Bassey impersonating era. She could have absolutely taken them on. So you didn't feel unsafe, but it's just that you didn't get that in the other bar. You know, in the other bar you were very much like just one big extended family. I think there's only about 70 of us in the whole place, whereas the Palladium is bigger. So of course you've got a lot more other people, a lot more people in under one roof. But again, they were great. You know, the bar staff come round, you sit at your table, they come round, they take your drinks order, and away you go. And we didn't leave there till 1 o'clock in the morning. We did get home. So normally the walk home from that sort of distance took us about an hour, because we kind of dawdled along a bit, and you know, we usually walk down to the seafront, walk along. On this particular day it was 1 o'clock, and I said to Steve, look, let's just get home as quickly as we could. You know, I wanted to get home. It was chilly as well, so we just like head down and marched, and I think we got home in about 40 minutes which was, yeah, it's quite some going. But overall, absolutely beautiful place, and if you do get the opportunity to go, it's relatively cheap and cheerful. If you fly with Ryanair, it is what it is. They were actually a very, very good airline. We flew from Bristol, and we have flown from Gatwick with them before, and this was a much better experience. Whether that was anything to do with Bristol, I really don't know. Once you know all of the charges that you are going to be paying, and that you accept that, you know, there is absolutely nothing free on Ryanair whatsoever. All toilets were, but they were a good airline, and we got there in 2 hours, or just under 2 hours, instead of 2 hours 40, and we got back, I think, a quicker time than we should have done. Coming back was amazing. Steve booked us in 24 hours in advance, and if you want to specify a seat, you have to pay an extra £20 or 20 euros. I think it's £20 each. So we just went, well, no, there's no point. I don't particularly like flying anyway, so it makes no difference to me whether I'm sat next to him or somebody else. I just stick my headphones on or read my book or something, you know, like just pretend that it's not happening and the plane is not going up like that. So we just said, no, you know, it's a 2 hour flight. It's not like you're flying to the States or to the, you know, to the Caribbean or anywhere like that where you do actually perhaps want to be next to your partner. It didn't bother us. We both knew that we would be having our earphones in, either watching something we'd downloaded or reading. So we just took a chance. And on the way out, I was next to the window. The way out, I was on the back row of the plane, which was quite nice, next to the window, and then a lady next to me in the middle, and then a guy came along and took the end seat. And then as we went, there were spaces, there were unclaimed seats, so he actually moved, which meant me and this other lady, we spread out. She sat by the aisle. We kind of had, you know, extra space and everything. And then coming home, an absolute winner. I don't know how many of us were on the flight, but I don't know, not even a third, a quarter, I don't know, so many empty seats. Steve ended up having a whole row to himself because he went to the toilet, and as he passed by my row, I think we're about 3 or 4 rows apart, maybe 6 rows apart. Anyway, he stopped by my row and said, oh, I was just about to say, if you want to come and sit with me, I've got an empty row. But I had an empty row, and I had an empty row from the beginning. He had somebody who originally was in his row, and again, their companions ended up with empty seats around them, so he shifted to sit with them. So Steve ended up having an empty row. I had a completely empty row, so I was in the aisle seat, so I shifted over to the window and then kind of sat with my legs up, and I had my little blanket thing, and it was toasty. I mean, I didn't go to sleep, I just read my Kindle, read my book. But yeah, it was probably the best flight I've had. From that point of view, it was really lovely. But now I really am going, so please watch the footage if you want to. Please like and subscribe to this video. I do usually forget to say that, but if you could, that I'd be very grateful. I am trying to build up the channel, but I do waffle and I never really have much of a strategy, and I hardly ever do any editing, and I've now got to try and remember to go back and put in all the makers and the designers and everything else that I have mentioned, so I will endeavour to do that, and I will catch up with you soon. So take care, thanks for being here, take care, and lots of love. This was honestly the nicest part of being on the aeroplane. We were so above the clouds. You weren't in the clouds. I mean, look at it. It just looks like a blanket, a carpet. It was absolutely visually stunning. It's Mummy. I've been out, had a drink. We went to a drag club. No, what's it called? Drag bar? Drag show? It's very funny. Now, Dad thinks I'm a little bit drunk, but I'm not. But I am going to go have Burger King. Because I'm really... Don't laugh at me. But anyway, I'm a bit hungry. And Burger King do these things called baby burgers. So me and Dad are going to go. So we stop laughing at me. So I wanted to phone Peter, but Dad won't let me. So this is now a recorded message to say, hi, it's Mummy. And I love you. And I can't wait to... really windy today. Not very much blue either.